Hi everybody, Stephanie here with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a very new thing for me, which is really hard so far, and I'm going to be doing a book review. So like I said in the introduction, I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book that I decided to do is The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. I highly enjoyed this book. I would recommend it to most everybody that I know, certain people being, someone younger than, 13 and younger, I wouldn't recommend it to, but I would highly recommend this to a lot of people, especially my husband. My husband would love this book. But anyways, this is the book that I decided to do my first review ever. Like I said, I highly, highly enjoyed this book. I would read it again, definitely, just so that I could revisit this world, I could revisit the people, and I could fall in love with the characters all over again. But anyways, let's get started into it. First, we'll give you kind of a little bit of a background on the story of the book, and then we'll get out. The only way that I could think of doing this was to do basically a pro-con list. And so I'll give you the background of the book and then get into the pro-con list. But anyways, starting out with the book, we meet up with our main character, whose name is Azoth. Azoth, I would say he's probably about between 10 and 12 years old. If they mentioned it in there, I read over that part. But anyways, this kid, he's a very young kid, and he lives in the slums of this city. And in this city, there are basically gangs that would be in our world, and he is just trying to make it. And one of the rules that's where it kind of started out with, you have to, if you live in this city and you're with this gang, you have to bring money, I think it's every night, to the leader of your pack. And it's about him starting out. He's trying to find money. And he's not only trying to find his own money, but one of his best friends, Baby Doll, he's trying to find money for her as well, because she is young, she's much younger than he is, and he is just trying to protect her. Moving beyond that, so he is basically looking for money in the last place you would think, and it's under this tavern. And while he's under this tavern looking for money, he was able to find money, of course, but while he was under there, he witnessed a couple of murders, and he is introduced to Durzer Blight. And Durzer Blight is a very well-known wet boy. He knows exactly who he is, but Durzer Blight, of course, threatens him, if you tell anybody about this, I will hunt you down and kill you, and obviously he knows he's going to. Moving on beyond that, now that you introduce the main characters basically throughout this whole story, you move on to kind of the sub-main characters. You're introduced to Baby Doll, which is one of his best friends. Then you're introduced to Jarl, which is another best friend, and all these people that you're first introduced to are the main characters. They're basically like on Star Trek. They are not red shirts. They are the main characters of this book. But anyways, moving on beyond that, you're introduced to all these characters first, and then you're kind of introduced to the storyline of this. And the main storyline is that Azoth wants to become a wet boy. Certain things happen in his life. He wants to get revenge on certain people, and he wants revenge on the main bad guy of the gang that he's in, and that is Rat. Rat, I hate this kid. I hate him so much. And that's one reason why I really like this book. But anyways, moving on beyond that. But anyways, Rat, he is the main obstacle that Azoth has to get over. Long story short, and without giving any spoilers, Azoth does become Azoth does become Durzer Blight's student. So he is being trained to become a wet boy. And he, according to Durzer, once he started the training, Azoth died. And Kylar was born. So now your main character is Kylar. And you're introduced to several other sub-main characters. And they're in this world, there's magical elements, there's the gift there's a gift that certain people have that they can unlock, and they can use that. A lot of these people are, of course, assassins, which you find out later about all this. And you're sort of introduced very briefly about the Night Angel, which is basically the assassin's god. And the Night Angel, you're very briefly introduced to it, but it's a very important key element in it. And it's all about Kylar trying to become a wet boy, trying to become the best wet boy ever. And a lot of there's a love triangle in it at some point, and there's so many good things about this story, and it's told so well, and I feel like if I tell you any more about it, it's going to give away the whole story. But anyways, let us move on to my pro-con list about the story. So, like I have mentioned before on my channel, if the author of a book has brought any emotions out of me about a certain book or certain characters, I think they have done a very good job, and I think that deserves a lot to be able to create someone and have someone react to it like you're either mad at them, you hate them, you love them, you want them to succeed so bad. I think the author did a very good job, and I think that needs to be told. So my pro list, I absolutely loved all the characters. They were introduced in such a way, they were wonderful. I fell in love with most all the characters. There were some that I hated, which one being Rat, I absolutely despised him. Couple that I loved was, I absolutely fell in love with Durzer Blight. I fell in love with Azoth and Kylar. I fell in love with Jarl. I think he is the coolest guy ever. And there were several other people that got introduced. There was a fortune teller that got introduced. I absolutely loved him. He was introduced very minutely throughout the book, but he was so cool. I absolutely loved him. And then there are certain princes and kings and queens that I hated and liked, and I had a lot of emotions about a lot of these characters. So I thought that the character introduction was very well told. And then I think the writing style was amazing. The writing style was absolutely wonderful. I never got bored with it. It flowed very good. Even though it's a well over 500-page book, I thought the flow of the book went amazing. And I never got bored. But there was, at a point, halfway in between the book, I stopped reading. And the reason why is because this is just me. This has nothing to do with the writing or the book itself, but just me. I'm a very much I love a Disney ending type of book, but this is not one of those books. This is not one of those kinds of books. This is a very emotional book. So I stopped reading halfway in between because I had a feeling that if I would continue, there was going to be a lot of things that happened, a lot of people that died, a lot of plot twist, and I was right. And so we get into the con list of this. My con list for this was 1. A lot of people died. A lot of people died. I cannot name anybody that died because that would give away the whole story, because you don't really know about it until that much into it. Yeah, about there. So if I say anything, it gives away the whole storyline. But a lot of people died. It was like a crazy amount of people that died, but it was very good. It went with the story. I mean, this is about assassins, for crying out loud. It went with the story. And another con part about it, which is something that I liked and I didn't like, was there was a lot of plot twist in it. I liked it, but I didn't like it at the same time because I had to keep up with it, which kept me on this book, solely on this book. I'm very much a book jumper, but I was so involved in this, I kept reading this book and I couldn't stop. So very good job, Brent Weeks. So that is my only con part, was there was a lot of people that died and a lot of plot twist. That's all I got. I don't got anything really negative to say about this book. I wish there was some negative stuff. I mean, there wasn't really info dumps. There was like hints of stuff everywhere, and then all of a sudden it was just like, whoa, that actually happened. Okay, wow. And then he moved on. So it was very well written. I would recommend it to quite a lot of people. I would recommend it to, especially my husband, I would recommend it to him. So, if you're watching this, read it. But anyways, that is my first book review ever. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you will read The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. This is the first book in the Night Angel trilogy. The other two are behind me right there, which I'm going to be continuing with it. And this is one of my goals of 2016 is to finish this series. So hopefully I will get there, and hopefully I will continue with this. So Brent Weeks, thank you very much for writing this. I absolutely enjoyed this. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And that's all I got to say about this book. So until next time, this is Anna Bibliophobe, signing off.